Hello everybody, this is General Yanis, and today in Death Card Tactics I'm going to be doing an extensive review of the Noxious Blightbringer and for whom does the bell toll finally. So with no further ado, let's get started. So today, the 16th of May, making a deep dive into the Noxious Blightbringer and one of my personal favorite variants or supportive characters in the end of the 8th edition and early 9th edition, and one of the cooler looking models in our arsenal. I really enjoyed painting him, and he looks so great with his bells all over the place, and yeah, he's really Death Guard looking model. But what does the ringing bell now signify, and do we have any utility with Noxious Blightbringer with the new Codex? So in this video, we'll be looking at the stats and the weapons, any abilities and combos, example uses, and an ode to the former Blightbringer before the summary and final conclusions. So with no further ado, let's get started. So, looking at the Noxious Blightbringer, his stats and weapons. So, the Noxious Blightbringer is 60 points, 5-inch move, 3+ weapon skill, ballistic skill, 4 strength, 5 toughness, 4 wounds, 4 attacks, 8 leadership, and 3+ save. And he has, of course, discussing resilience and the contagions. The keywords are infantry character, bubonic Astartes. He's part of a plague company. He's a Varian. Chaos Nurgle, Heretic Astartes, and Death Guard, basically all the standard characteristics for Arvirion here. He has 3 auras, actually, the most auras for Arvirion. So the first one is the Sickening Vitality that keeps Plague Company core and Virion units within 6 inches of the Blightbringer, +1 to their move characteristics when they are moving or advancing. Then he has the Toxin of Misery aura, so enemy units within 6 inches subtract 1 from combat attrition tests. And then Empiric Malaise aura, enemy psychers within 6 inches subtract 1 from psychic tests. And then his weapons include the plasma pistol for short range shooting and close combat shooting, the standard pistol plasma profile, and if he's supercharged, he can die. So again, for Virion with plasma pistols, probably not worth the risk supercharging, and you don't have really good access to any rerolls for Virion characters as they are not core. And then in melee, he actually has a decent weapon, a Cursed Plague Bell. So at first I thought he was hitting people with a big bell on his head, but he's holding another plague bell he's hitting people with. So a melee weapon, a plague weapon, so strength of the user, so 4 strength, AP -1, and damage 2. So not so bad melee weapon. And then he of course has access to grenades, the blight grenades and the crack grenades. So summarizing, he has the standard supporting character profile, a plasma pistol and grenades for range shooting, and a decent melee weapon, the Cursed Plague Bell. 3 auras, which is it's a good thing that he has so many auras, but all of them are a bit all over the place. Some are increasing movement, affecting enemy combat attrition test, and debuffing enemy psychers. So not a super good synergy for his 3 abilities and auras, to say. So a quick look at Noxious Blightbringer's weapon damage output. Nothing groundbreaking here. Here we see the average damage not point corrected across a variety of targets I'm typically simulating. And the blue is the plasma pistol, not supercharged. And then we have the Cursed Plague Bell doing 1, 1.5, 2 wounds depending on the enemy unit. So a bit better. Let's say he's better using his Plague Bell in melee to do some damage, but all in all, there is no fantastic damage ability here. Interestingly enough, if you are in range, if you are within 6 inches, then it's probably better to use blight grenades or crack grenades, depending on the target, instead of the plasma pistol. And of course, as I said, very risky to supercharge. There is no easy access to rerolls for Virion character, and you don't want to miss a 60, 70, 80 wound model on 80-point model by supercharging the plasma pistols. So, looking at his abilities and any combos in more detail, the Sickening Vitality is probably his best aura. giving +1 move to core and Virion when they are moving or advancing, but unfortunately not charging. If it was helping our charge roll +1, it would definitely be interesting to include, as we have so many good melee units, but +1 to move is for the core and the Virion means that Plague Marines, Blightlords, and Death Shroud and Virion characters within 6 inches of the Blightbringer will be increasing their movement from 5 inch to 6 inch. The Hellbrutes will be going from 6 inch to 7 inch. Possessed will go up to 8 inch, and Contemptor Dreadnoughts will be to 9 inch. And as I said, unfortunately, it doesn't improve the charge. It doesn't help other units to be able to go faster. It doesn't help any characters, lords, let's say, that are part of a group close to the Noxious Blightbringer. It doesn't help the Poxwalkers. That could be quite helpful to bring them up to a 5-inch move, but unfortunately, it's only helping the core units. Maybe it could be useful on Possessed that don't have so many easy transport opportunities, increasing to 8 inch, but again, it's only 1 inch more. And difficult to apply for any Terminators deep striking. Contemptors currently used with Twin Volkites don't have any need to move forward quickly. Hellbrutes are moving a little bit better with Noxious Blightbringer, but then the Hellbrutes are not super durable, and not so many lists are using the Hellbrutes. The effect is rather small anyway. +1 move in 5 turns would give 5-inch move more in a game. It might help you the chances to make your charges in the mid game if you have been moving, edging closer to the opponent. But again, if you really want to transport, for example, Plague Marines faster, you could consider the Rhino for 80 points instead of the Noxious Blightbringer for 60 points. And then his other ability, the other aura, is the Toxin of Misery that subtracts 1 from enemy combat attrition tests. So he has to be close, of course, to the enemy to make it work within 6 inches. Enemy must fail its morale first to go to the combat attrition test, and here the game has quite a lot of loopholes, or let's say a lot of abilities to make auto passes of the morale or other rules. Some units don't take morale tests. A lot of the armies maybe have rerolls on the morales or other abilities, so it's difficult to build a list going after the morale, and you might have a lot of times where it doesn't work. You have for the morale and combat attrition, you have here a potential combo with the Terminators and the Break Their Spirit stratagem, giving -4 leadership. If the Noxious Blightbringer is closed, and if they fail the morale, then the combat attrition would be more tough on the enemy unit. A Plaguebringer relic on a Chaos Lord or a Plague Marine champion or a Blightlord Terminator champion. Each model killed there counts as 2 for morale test. Combination with Break Their Spirits, for example, for Terminators might make them fail. And then, if successful, let's say for the morale test, if you have the -1 to the combat attrition for a full to half strength enemy, normally the combat attrition would fail on 1s. Now it will be 1s and 2s, so you will have a third of the remaining models will flee. If the enemy is below half strength, they would be failing their combat attrition on 1, 2, 3, so that half of them will go for half strength units. So it could have a substantial effect, but you have to make them fail their morale first. So I think, as I said, it's quite difficult to build around a morale. In my opinion, at least, it's difficult to build a list around morale manipulation. And then finally, the Empiric Malaise aura, -1 to enemy psyker tests. It's not bad. However, I think it's very situational and unlikely to have a big effect on the game, because how often will the Noxious Blightbringer be within 6 inch of enemy psykers, or how often will the enemy psykers be close to your units if they want to smite, or normally their psychic abilities have a further reach than 6 inches. Maybe they don't have to go close to get the -1 to the psyker tests. Of course, it could happen on some games, but again, it's very situational and not particularly not super strong aura here. A Fugaris Helm relic could be interesting to consider if you take the Noxious Blightbringer. The Fugaris Helm relic would give 3" to all auras of the Noxious Blightbringer, and as he has 3 auras, it could benefit him to increase all of them to 9". But however, his auras, let's say we can say they are mediocre at best. So maybe if we also take something like an Arch Contaminator as Warlord trait, that's quite useful, and then he would have a 9" bubble of Arch Contaminator, a 9" of all those a bit, a bit diverse mix of auras and debuffs that are quite situational and mediocre at best. So Noxious Blightbringer also has access to a specific Blightbringer relic, the Demon's Toll, which gives him a once per battle ability to make an opponent not able to fall back, or at least they need to roll a 1. Let's say on a 2+ they cannot fall back, but it's only once in a game, and if it's a unit within 6 inches of the Noxious Blightbringer, again another ability that's very situational. It could be potentially helping in some games, but highly probably there is a very high probability or risk that you would never use it in a game. And as we have in the Death Guard army so many better relics to use army-wide, then there is basically no point in taking the Demon's Toll if you are taking a Noxious Blightbringer, in my opinion. So example uses and how can we use him? Unfortunately, it seems to me that the best use of the Noxious Blightbringer is in the collection, in the cabinet, and looking great for the army. Maybe pep talking before the game and making a rally with his bells ringing and tolling. But other than that, it's very difficult to see to include him in lists, at least competitive lists. Apart from that, if you want to use him because you like the model, I think his best use would be escorting Plague Marines or Blight Lords or Possessed and a Foul Blightspawn group up the table, and making the whole group having a 6" base move. His Toxin of Misery might come in handy, especially if he has Terminators close by and they kill enemy models with Break Their Spirit stratagems. And of course, if a Psyker comes close, enemy Psyker comes close, they will be getting -1 to Psychic Test. In this case, if you want to bring him, I would consider giving him the Fugaris Helm relic and the Arch Contaminator trait for 9" of the 4 auras, so the 3 auras he has, plus the Arch Contaminator trait aura. So more in a fluff context, I would use him if you like this model. He could have some utility, but we have so many more good Virion choices. So before the conclusion, an ode to the former Blightbringer. So dear Blightbringer, the former model, me and the Blightbringer go back since my first games of Warhammer 40k, and the first box I got from Dark Imperium. So it was really a very nice model to build, and he was always included in my first lists, and it was so good. His former ability to roll 2 dice to advance any unit in the Death Guard army was really helpful, from the Poxwalkers to the Fertit Blowthrones, to try to advance and go to an objective or come across the board for engage all fronts. And basically Noxious Blightbringer, the previous Noxious Blightbringer, won me many games in the 8th and early 9th. And when War of the Spider hit the tables, Noxious Blightbringer cemented his position in the heart of the army, and in my heart, let's say, with the excellent relic, the Demon's Toll, that was giving 5+ inval saves to the units lacking it in the army, so he could really buff the durability. And of course, from this advancing, he was always a big part of my armies, and now giving with a Demon's Toll, he was even more an auto include, and saving the Plague Marines from a lot of heavy fire, and yeah, winning many games for the Death Guard. But now, however, I'm looking at his stats, and maybe I'm even more let's say saddened by the new stats, because I liked him so much with the previous rules. So for now, I think he has to stay in the cabinet, and it's like saying farewell to an old friend. But hopefully, I hope we get some improved rules for him soon, and hopefully, if not anything else, maybe see him getting a buff in the 10th edition Death Card Codex, whenever that would come. So, reaching to the summary and final thoughts, the Noxious Blightbringer is a cool-looking Virion model in the Death Card army. He has 3 aura abilities that are quite diverse and mediocre or situational at best. He can improve the move by 1 inch for a few types of units, so basically core and Virion units can be boosted in their movement for move and advance only. He has a debuff for enemy combat attrition test and a debuff for enemy psychers. In my opinion, there is not much there to secure him a spot in Death Card army lists, and all the other Virions seem to offer better choices and offer better synergies, combos, and something you could build a list around, like the Taliman and Contemptors, or Foul Blightspawn, or Blight Biologus Purifier with melee grenade, Plague Marines, etc. If you really want to use him, his best utility would be foot slogging along a group of core infantry, together probably with a Foul Blightspawn. Foul Blightspawn would benefit moving further up or advancing faster to reach with his weapon, and bringing the group faster upfield, and occasionally using the debuffs he pre-provides. If the other debuffs can be used, then it's good, but there is a higher probability that they are not going to be used in a typical game. So, and as I said, I really miss the good old version of the Noxious Blightbringer. So this concludes this video and the deep dives on the Virion characters. What do you think about the Noxious Blightbringer? Have you been using him with a new codex? Have you been using the good old one before? Share some memories below. Let me know your thoughts of this video. If you like this video, please press like and subscribe to the channel, where I will be bringing you more Death Card tactic videos. If you want to support my efforts bringing you a good Death Card content further, please visit my Patreon page, patreon.com General Yanis. And with these words, General Yanis is signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.